So as a forewarning, I am kind of not great with recording these guides. I'm doing this on a wing. Some like warnings before I go into this. I am doing this assuming that you know how to use Customized Plus, which you will need for this. If you don't know how to make a template, I would advise learning how to do that first. I'm not going to really touch base on profiles, but that's how you apply it to your character and use it in games, so you might want to know that too. Again, I'm not gonna talk about that. My focus here is going to be facial scaling. People asked me to do a guide on that, so I'm doing that. But that's basic knowledge you need to have. Like I said though, you need Customize Plus. Optionally, I would suggest maybe having Catesis. This is because Catesis lets you view the bones. If you're only doing scaling, like right here, you won't really need to know it. It's nice to know like where certain stuff is. Um, Other than that, it's useful for stuff like position. Like for example, if I go into position and I'm like, I want to move this eye, and I click 13, oh no, where did the eye bone go? We'll follow the line and see that you sent it right there, you know. So it can tell you where the bones are, basically. And if you make major edits and lose a bone, then you won't be like, oh my god, where did it go? It just kind of guides you. But other than that, yeah. Um, Really though, what I will say about Customize Plus facial scaling is that I was just doing it while in G-Pose. This is because you can zoom in on your lovely, lovely little creature's face. You can look at them. You don't need to have paws on. In fact, like, how did I forget the key binding in G-Pose? Oh my god, I'm a fucking imposter. You can, like, test the scaling with, like, emotes and stuff. You can do eye tracking, all sorts of good stuff. So I recommend doing it in G-Pose. You can technically do it without, but it's up to you. Um, but to start, this is from prior, so please ignore this. What you're gonna do is that you want to make a template. I'm gonna make a template. Example 2. Okay. So you're gonna go in here, you know, you're gonna hit start bone editing. As you can see, my stuff from prior deleted, but you want to make sure it's targeted to your character. You're gonna want to make sure you toggle to scale. Position we'll get into later. I'll elaborate more on that later. First things first though, make sure you have mirror mode on. This just makes sure like if you scale something on the left side, it reflects on the right side. Some exceptions for this is that if you intentionally want one side to look different than the other. Some cases I've seen this is like your character wears an eye patch and their eye is messed up and permanently closed, you can scale that eye closed. If your character's mouth is like fucked up on one side, you can scale it as kind of like extending out. Stuff like that. Those are kind of like exceptions I know off the top of my head. I'm sure people are creative and there's more out there. But if you're not doing something like that, keep mirror mode on. Keep it simple. Keep it clean. Blah, blah, blah. So once you're in bone editing, you're going to want to scroll down here to the unknown section. This may look different on your end. This is because I'm using the version that just got updated for Dawn Trail today. These are all the new lovely, lovely, lovely little face bones added with Dawn Trail. They're not labeled yet. These are just like the raw bone names. But I'm pretty sure with like future versions of Customized Plus, or now Hello People in the future, it'll be under face. And they'll have proper labels, similar to how Catesis has it already, where it's all right there. If my character would stop moving, you get the idea. But yeah, so as for how to scale your little creature's face, what you want to do, as of right now, these don't have labels. So off the top of my head, I don't know what is what. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna mess up. So what I do, this fourth column here, this upscales the entire bone. So X, Y, Z, all that, just all at once. I go and I find a little bone that I want to mess up. I just want to know what it is. I will hit a big number. So I'm going to hit 43. Yeah, I know that's something with the eyelid. If I hit 4, that's the upper inner eyelid. So there, by doing that to a ridiculous degree, I know what I'm editing. So I'll set it back at 1, if I can use my keyboard. From there, what you can do is this individual values here. Same process really, you just hit a big number, you can see that moves it up. If you hit like a low number, it moves it back. So you can kind of like, here comes another example where like if I do this, it's like, oh, that just lifts it up. You always want to check perspective though. So like if you're in G-pose, rotate the camera. You can see that doesn't go up, that actually goes out. You probably don't want that unless you're doing something weird. I don't know. You're gonna want to put that back in normal. Something I could really think of here is that maybe like I can like edit that back in like closer to the eye, and I can just tweak it until it like right close to clipping. Yeah, something like that. And then this one, I'll set it as a big value. It goes down. Check perspective. It does in fact go down. And then from there, I can just do like 1.5, 1.5, and I'm just, for the sake of example, I'm going to settle on 1.8. And then, you know, this one, 3, that pushes that to the side, but if I check perspective, it does push to the side. I'm going to tweak this back to 1. You can see by me doing that is that you can kind of see like the inside of the head with the eyeball because of the other adjustments we made. It looks fine head on if you're really only caring about like head on G poses. You can maybe ignore it, but if you're gonna look at your character in like cutscenes or gameplay, or if you're like perfectionist like me and like seeing the slightest bit of your character's inner eyeball drives you insane, you may want to edit that based off the perspective. So like I'll go back here and I'll put it back at 1, and then I'll do like 1.2, 3, 4, you know, like you get the idea. But really, that process is the same for every single bone here. So yes, it's tedious, but gradually you'll kind of get there. Think of it kind of just like clicking on a value, seeing what it does, changing the number. Do you like the number? Do you like it in relation to other stuff? And this working from there. Something I can suggest, at least for the people who are watching this before they start like labeling this properly, um, is noting like what name is what. So like for example here, I know off the top of my head, Uhana, that's the nose. So like if I hit 3, yeah, that widens the nose. So like I could go into like a Pastebin Discord or like my friend's DMs and say, hey, please ignore this. I'm just messing around, whatever. I would go there and I would write Uhana equals nose. So that way, if you need to make edits to the nose later, you just be able to reference your own stuff and then be like, okay, I gotta find Uhana. But next, what I'm going to show you real quick is stuff involving positioning. You probably won't be fucking with this with like anything relating to like the mouth and stuff unless like maybe you want to push the eyebrows up or I don't know. I wouldn't advise it. But what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to find the eyeball bone real quick, but I'm going to show you what happens if you move stuff around. Okay, so I found the eyeball bone. So position, like I mentioned before with Catesis, is that it will like move it on the actual skeleton. It won't scale it up or scale it down. It literally shifts it up or down. This bone in particular works different than scaling in that the numbers you need to edit, you need to make them very, very, very small edits. So like for example, if I put 1, the eyes are gone. If I put 0, 1, yeah, so you need to get into like the decimal points. But yeah, so like if you want to move the eyes like over slightly to the side, you can do that. If you want to move them up, I think this is up at least. Yeah, I think. Yeah, you can see like, yeah. So you want to move them up, you can do that too. That'll permanently put them further up. And then what you can do to test this is that if you go in the G pose, you can do eye tracking and like you can see it works, just the bones higher up. And then something I also suggest is with like scaling in mind. My interface is a nightmare. Catesis, get out of here. What you can do with the edits in mind, you can like fuck with expressions to make sure everything works. Something I really, really suggest doing is testing an emote with the eye closed because if you're messing with the eyelids, if you do too much a certain way, your character's eyes won't close fully because like you've either like scaled it down so you'll see the whites of the eyes when they close their eyes. Again, some people you might not care. You don't plan on closing your eyes in G poses. You just don't. You just want to look at them with their eyes open. Whatever. Other people, perfectionists like me, that's going to drive you fucking insane, and you're gonna want to scream and cry and throw up. So just be sure you're checking in with expressions as you go along, etc., etc. Um, and then from yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna mess around. I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna mess around, and then I'll come back to this and I'll just show you what I've done. So yeah, okay. So like, pardon the DreamWorks looking ass face, but I've been editing for like like 5-10 minutes, and like this is what I have so far. As you can see, like it's far from finished. I also need to adjust the makeup, but that's a whole nother story. Um, but you can see like I made edits to the eyes. I made a little edits to the lips. Nose shape, I made it like pointy right there. Yeah, so you can see I've also adjusted like the iris, stuff like that. I made sure you can see that there's like slightly a gap, but I've kind of made sure that it's not horrible. I haven't really touched the eyebrows. In fact, I accidentally touched the eyebrow and I caused that. I have yet to locate the culprit in question that caused that, but that's a problem for future Dave. But yeah, that is generally the process. Once you're done editing, or if like you need to stop, or like you need to come back to it later, whatever, you want to go to finish bone editing. You can either save it as a copy if like you're I would save it as a copy if like you're unsure if you like the change prior to what you had. So you can kind of like have it as a copy, and then like you can move it into a profile, and then like toggle it on or off depending, and then see which one you like more. That's when I would suggest save as copy or do not save. If you just hate it and you're like throw it away, burn it, don't save. But I'm gonna save this. So yeah, you can see like that. And so I would go over to profile, and like the name is because my character usually has sculpt. That hasn't been updated yet, so I'm doing customize plus. But so I would go into his profile. I would do this. I would do the example I did. I don't know if is that the example. I don't. You can see I've done a couple of these. But yeah, you can see that right there. And then like if I toggle it on or off, you can see the difference between vanilla and not vanilla. His head gets wider because this is on top of my body scaling, and I slightly scale up his head. That's his cock. Sorry, everyone. Uh, I slightly scale up his head just for the sake of like being proportionate with the rest of the body. That's why it's a bit wider. But with the face, yeah, that's pretty much it. One thing I forgot to mention, and that I suggest doing, is with catesis or animesis or whatever, I suggest putting your character in a hairstyle that just gets bangs out of their face. My character usually has like it's 129. I don't know where it is right now, but it's the one hairstyle that has like that one bang that covers like half the face. And so like if your character is rocking like a hairstyle like this, that's a modded hairstyle. Whoops. Point is, I can't see like I can't see this eyebrow, and then I can't see like his eyes really. So like it's a bit harder for me to like edit. So you kind of want to just like get your character to just yank those fucking bangs back so you can just edit it in full. And then once you're done editing it, you can put on your fancy little haircut. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully that covers everything. Again, I'm not great at guides. And if it's not a good guide, I hope it was at least entertaining. If you have any questions, you can always ask me. But yeah, thumbs up emoji.